Hello again, guys, and welcome to another video of Grim Dawn, Ashes and Malmeth. So there are a few topics I'd like to go over today upon request, but before I get into that, I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody so much for taking the time to watch these videos and to leave the positive feedback. It makes me want to strive and push to make good content for you guys, and I really do appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. I genuinely just really do appreciate it, and I love to help everybody out that I can. So, enough mushiness, let's get into the business. First thing I'd like to mention, this is not so much on topic, but the mythical wheel of Bismeal. Previously, before this most recent patch, you could equip this amulet and then you could snapshot 2 ravens at one time. Or familiars, I should say, but we all know it's a raven. This was a pretty cool little mechanic you could use. However, I did just try it, and it appears it has been hotfixed. Some people were doing this and pumping the raven pretty high and having 2 pretty awesome raven beds run around doing some decent nuke damage. However, it appears it has been fixed. Alright, so let's get into the first topic, which is stat priority. So stat priority is going to generally be the same across the board for any pet build that you're running. If you're going for a true DPS pet build, this is probably going to be true in almost any situation regardless of what classes you're running. Now, it will change a little bit based on the classes you're running, but overall mostly the same. So one thing I always fail to mention is attribute allocation. So I apologize for doing that, but almost always on any pet build that I run, it's about 10 to 15 spirit, the rest physique. Now I say about 10 to 15 because it depends on what classes you're picking, and you just want to make sure you have enough spirit to use your main hand and offhand. Everything else goes straight to physique, and that's for the tanky survivability of the character. You really want your personal stats as the player to be really durable. You just want to be able to survive and be able to outlive anything that comes at you so your pets can just nuke and demolish everything. So as for the player, I would say that the most important stats, and I don't really know how to put this in a specific order, but the most important stats are going to be health, armor, defensive ability, physical resist, physique, anything that's going to boost your capabilities to survive. Now, if you have really high armor, if you stack armor really well, physical resistance is going to be a lot more forgiving on your character because basically the higher your armor is, that basically is physical resistance. So you want to boost that as high as you can. As far as pets go, I would say for pets, one of the most important stats is going to be offensive ability. And I say this because as the game scales and as you go through the game, monsters' levels are going to increase. And if your offensive ability is not up to par, you're going to hit your targets a lot less, your pets will, I should say, and they're going to crit a lot less often. So if they're missing and not critting very often, you will see your DPS tank. It'll go way down. So it's really important to get that offensive ability as high as possible. Obviously, with that being said, followed up, you probably want to prioritize attack speed or total speed. All damage is really important. Crit damage is really important. Obviously, if your pets are hitting really well and critting very often, crit damage is going to further synergize with that and make it even better. The thing that's nice about running the devotions in combination with the skills is that you get a lot of bonus crit damage from devotion, and that's not to say you don't want to grab it on gear. You definitely want to grab it on gear, but the fact that you get a lot from devotion is very helpful. Obviously, you want to pick up any resist or bonus health that you can for your pets on any piece of gear that you can, but if I had to pick between defensive capabilities and offensive capabilities, I would say that offensive capabilities are a little more important on your pets, but you don't want to just go full offensive because if your pets are dying, effectively your DPS is 0, of course. So, you just want to, obviously you got to work with the gear that you have, but those are just my opinions. As you can see, a lot of my gear has, increased percent health, a lot of resistances. The mythical fiend flesh mantles are actually really good on the Caballes, and the reason that is because you get that huge damage absorption shield. Effectively, that's more HP for your pets, and to me, it's a really good shoulder. You get the Aether Chaos resist, which is really nice. But yeah, you just got to try to pick up resist where you can. And yeah, I'm even using some green items, and that's because of the high bleed resist on these items. So here's where the differences kind of come into play. You can see my poison acid resist, my bleed resist are actually pretty high on my Caballes, and that is because on the conjurer side of things, so on my conjurer, the shaman side of things, you get Mogdrogan's Pact, and with all the little side add-ons for that skill, you get a huge boost to health, you get a huge boost to pierce resistance, which you can see my pierce resistance isn't the greatest, but I've tried to stack it as best I can so far, and that's important for this class because it's hard to obtain. And then you also get the poison poison and bleed duration reduction from Mogdrogan's Pact. So on my Conjurer has better healing capabilities, and it also has, reduction to a lot of dot damage. And that's something that kind of makes the Caballes suffer. So it's a little more forgiving on the Conjurer side. I don't have to stack Poison Acid resist as high. I don't have to stack Bleed resist as high. And I get a lot more inherent Pierce resistance. And so, it just depends on the class and what you're doing. You just kind of, more or less, you want to try to evenly spread out and pick up stats where you need to the best you can, if that makes sense. That's the best way I can explain it without trying to make it too confusing. But as you can see, the health on this character, I would like for it to be higher, and that's with my physique being pumped really high. I do want to work on it, make it better. I basically solo play and self-find, so it takes me pretty long to get gear. I probably should play with some people and do crucibles and all that stuff, because I know you can get gear really quick that way. But anyway, so again, just in short, for you as the player, you want to be tanky, try to get defensive abilities as high as possible. For your pets, you do want some defensive abilities and tankiness, but you want to prioritize a lot of bonus attack speed, total speed, offensive ability, crit chance, damage, all of the above. So that's one thing that is really unique and cool about the Caballes, is the fact that you can grab Manipulation and you can grab Master of Death. And the same goes for the Conjurer. Conjurer, you can grab Primal Bond, which is basically the last tier ability for the Shaman when it comes to pets. You can also grab Manipulation. So Manipulation is a really, really good skill for any pet build that you're running. That's probably one of the things that makes Occultist so important for any pet build that you're running, because of the all damage total speed from this. Total speed, as I've mentioned before, if you guys don't know, is total speed. Literally everything. So the attack speed, cast speed, run speed, everything. So that's a really good stat, and it's hard to come by. So the fact that you get so much from this one skill is just insanely good. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers everything that's important. The second request or question that I had is that, should I continue playing my Caballes in Ultimate? Is it worth playing? How is the scaling since the patch changes? And I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely, the Cabalist is worth playing. And the reason I say that is because the Cabalist is a really good class. It does a lot of damage. If I'm being honest, it out DPSs my Conjurer by miles. And that's just the reality of it, and again, like I've tried to reiterate many times, is that my Conjurer only shines really in situations where it's something that would normally kill my pets on my Cabalist really easily. My Conjurer kind of shines in those categories because the pets are always living and they're still doing effective DPS. So technically those fights go smoother and faster. But this all could change if I find better gear for my Cabalist, if I can make it to where my pets are really, really pretty tanky and beefy and survive really well, as well as doing really insane damage, that obviously could change. Having that said, just because there's a certain monster or boss or something that gives your Caballes a hard time and kills your skeletons really easy, you don't have to actively go out and seek that one boss. You know what I mean? So yes, this character can clear in-game content. This character could clear in-game Ashes of Mammoth content before the patch that came out recently. Even though they did nerf Ashes of Mammoth mobs, they nerfed the Nemesis Beast damage, they nerfed the Chthonic monster boss damage. So even before that occurred, all the Ashes of Mammoth mobs, the Ethereals, Vanguard, everything, I could kill all these guys. I killed the last boss pretty easily. So yes, this character is very effective. And honestly, as far as loot hunting goes, if you're solo playing, I would say that my Cabalist is better at general loot hunting and doing dungeons and running through areas and just nuking things. So, every class has its benefits. Pros and cons, like I was saying before. Now, if I wanted to go Nemesis hunt, I typically would probably use my Conjurer, but there are Nemesis bosses that this character can absolutely destroy. So, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Alright, so having that said, I'm going to show you guys some of the in-game play. I may not do any bosses, but if you guys would like to see me do some bosses, I probably would make a separate video showing you that I obviously can fight bosses. Okay, so these Ethereals here, usually they're pretty beefy, right? I should probably get some skeletons out. That would be a good thing to do. But typically these guys are pretty beefy. And don't mind the damage right now because it's garbage because I didn't get my skeletons out. But I mean, right, that was 3 skeletons and that guy still died. But yeah, these guys are typically pretty beefy. And you can see I'm still dealing with them pretty well, considering I didn't have all my skeletons out. Yeah, see, they're dying. There you go. I mean, it's not hard. It's not like it's, you know, a huge feat or a task for me to kill a lot of these in-game mobs. And again, these died just as fast as they did before they released the patch recently. Apparently, all they did was reduce the damage of a lot of the Ethereal Vanguard towards the end game. All right, so check out the damage on this thing. There you go. I mean, that thing dropped pretty quick, and that was without any potions running. Let's see here. Guess I gotta go this way. I might find a little boss, mini boss somewhere or something so I can show you guys the decent damage this build can do. It's honestly, the damage on the Caballes is extraordinary. It's really good. I shouldn't even say decent damage because it's nuts. I mean, everything dies pretty quick. Alright, here's a heroic named. Be cool if I could find a boss though. Yeah, he drops. Okay. I pick up a lot of the greens out here because they can be really good. So you basically want to be careful. I mean, don't be reckless out here, because whenever you go into an area like that with a bunch of awesome ethereals, if you go out there first, you want to get knocked around a bit. And as you can see, like, some of my skeletons died just now, because that was actually a pretty scary, pretty scary group of monsters there. But again, I'm not really struggling, and you can just throw your skeletons right back out. Now, you know, some people that have like awesome in-game gear with like plus 95 to all stats and everything, probably their skeletons don't die as easily, and they probably do a lot more damage than I'm doing right now. I would say the Caballes is definitely more gear dependent. Definitely more gear dependent than the Conjurer is. But, you know, I think I'm doing alright for what I got. There is a boss in here. I might as well go in here and kill that boss, show you guys what kind of damage you can do. And you can see how often my pets are critting, which is really nice. You want to try to put Curse of Frailty on everything. Curse of Frailty actually does drop enemy defensive ability. So it basically boosts your chances of hitting and critting, and drops their resistances towards pretty much all damage types in the game. So it's going to boost your pet damage quite a bit. Now, ideally, to do the most damage possible, you want to get your pets gathered up on a target, like right next to it, and just let them nuke it, like that. That was actually a heroic name there. So, because of Flame Torrent, like I've mentioned before, and how strong it is, you want to stack your pets on something like that, and just let them nuke. Except for my skeletons ran away for some reason that time. They're like, yo dog, we're ranged. We don't run up on stuff. And as you can see, again, I lost a couple skeletons. So it's not like all the time, but every once in a while some die. And it's not a big deal. You can just throw 3 more right back out. So that's what I was saying about Caballes, is that it's a little more micromanaging. But it's not to the point of annoying by any means. And everybody just runs into their death, basically. Even if you don't take the time to position your pets right up against everything, they still do really good damage, honestly. You know, if this were like Steps of Torment or something like that, like it's crazy how fast you clear through stuff like that with this character. You just blast through things. You gotta keep in mind these guys are pretty durable and beefy compared to the rest of the mobs in the game. Here you go, maybe I can get my pets all next to this guy here. There we go. And that was a heroic name there, so Yeah, you can see, like, if you stack your pets up on something like that, it dies real fast. So here I kind of got sandwiched, but no big deal. Just position right, play smart, and you won't die. You want to try not to get sandwiched if you can. Alright, so here is a boss. Painful. Got too close. And he nuked all my pets instantly. Alright, so, I mean, here you go. This is like one of the situations I was talking about. So if that happens, basically what I do is I kite back, try to get all my skeletons back out. It's definitely doable. I've actually never had this boss just straight shotgun my pets like that before. That was quite impressive. Alright. Payback. Alright, one down. Probably should bring out my Blight Beam, because that was helpful, having his defensive ability drop on enemies. There you go. I mean, he died. Honestly, that fight has been easier for me before in the future, or I mean in the past, but yeah, still got him. And that's kind of a good example of what I was saying before. You know, there's some situations and some bosses where, like, that happens. Your pets just get blasted all of a sudden, you're like, what happened? For me, at least, that's been my experience with Caballes. But it's still manageable. Obviously, if I were like loot hunting solo play, I wouldn't actively seek this boss out since that just occurred. You know, it's like, why would I go do that? And, you know, these guys are ethereals. That means they do aether damage. You can see my aether resist on my pets is 73. It's not exactly low. So, you know, it's not like I'm ignoring the defenses and not trying to stack against damage types and trying to survive, but that's sometimes how it happens. But it still is manageable. So I'm kind of glad that occurred, so I can show you guys how you can deal with it, you know. And I did kind of get too close and went full dummy mode there, and that guy hit me and did some damage. And, you know, that's where stuff like this, in my opinion, is really effective on the Cabalist. The Defy Death passive on this is really nice, because I probably would have died there. He probably hit me hard enough to kill me, but this procced and saved me instead of killing me. So really important to have on Cabalist, because, like I said before, Cabalist is not as durable, in my opinion, as the Conjurer. But damage is really good. But as gear is acquired and things change, I will keep you guys updated. Hopefully I'll be finding, you know, like I said, I did just find these gloves the other day, so I am finding gear. It just takes time. And maybe I should stop being lazy and make some friends and do some Crucible with some people. Anyway, as always, guys, hopefully this was helpful. I really appreciate it, as always, and thank you for taking time to watch my content. Please, if you like, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. As well, if you haven't checked out my stream, please come by and check it out. I try to stream daily. It doesn't always happen. Real life, you know, stuff happens and occurs. But if I get enough people coming to the stream, I will try to make a consistent schedule. And so that would be cool to see you guys hang out, talk, do some stuff. All right. Anyways, appreciate it. You guys take care. Thanks for watching.